Every week, Jean-Claude Van Damme bought $10,000 worth of cocaine. Directors had to pay somebody to help them find him on site. He would go missing for days, skip whole shoots, and then come back seeing things that weren't there. The narcotics ruined his $100 million career, but that wasn't the worst thing he kept from others. He tried to kill himself in 1998 and was later diagnosed with rapid cycling bipolar disorder. He assumed his problems were over after he became sober. In April 2025, Romanian authorities charged him with trafficking, which might end everything. On October 18, 1960, Jean-Claude Van Damme was born in a little part of Brussels named Berksham-Saint-Agath. His full name was Jean-Claude Camille François van Varenberg. His father, Eugene, was both an accountant and a florist. His mother, Eliana, was from Flanders and spoke Dutch, while his father spoke French. Their home was bilingual, which helped Jean-Claude later when he became famous over the world. He had a sister named Veronique, and they grew up in a peaceful neighborhood where most people worked. His parents always taught him to be disciplined and work hard. Jean-Claude's father saw that he was very thin and shy, therefore he thought the youngster should learn martial arts. Jean-Claude had a lot of trouble in school when he was a kid. He had a thin, weak body and thick glasses. Kids picked on him all the time and called him brains in a cruel way. He didn't like sports. He liked comic books and hobbies that didn't make a lot of noise. He later remarked that growing up was quite challenging, and that he wasn't strong at all. His dad knew that something had to be different. Jean-Claude began lifting weights when he was 11 years old. He wanted to change his body so that no one could push him around anymore. That choice impacted his life for good. He used the gym as an escape. He trained every day because he was determined to never feel helpless again. His dad signed him up for karate classes at the Centre National de Karate in Excel when he was 12. Claude Getz was the coach, and he was tough. Jean-Claude trained every day from 1972 to 1976. The classes were really hard. He fractured his nose more than once while sparring, yet he kept going. He learned how to be disciplined, kick hard, and be very flexible. When he was 16 in 1976, he had already made it onto Belgium's national karate squad. For a boy who had been bullied for being weak, this was a tremendous deal. At the same moment, something unexpected happened. Jean-Claude began taking ballet lessons in secret. He was still learning karate, but from the time he was 16 until 21, he also took ballet 5 times a week. He knew it would help him with balance, grace, and controlling his body. He remarked afterward that ballet was the hardest training he had ever done, even harder than martial arts. He never told his karate pals because he knew they would laugh. But the truth was that ballet helped him kick perfectly. It helped him accomplish the iconic splits that people would talk about later. In 1975, when Jean-Claude was 15, he had his first genuine karate match. From 1976 to 1980, he fought in semi-contact contests and won 44 times and lost only 4 times. In one of his first battles in Brussels, his opponent kicked him hard with a roundhouse kick. Jean-Claude was about to lose, but a few seconds later, he knocked the other guy out cold. At that point, it was clear how tough he actually was. He helped the Belgian karate team win a big European event in Brussels in December 1979. Then, on March 8, 1980, he won his biggest fight yet. He battled Patrick Tuggels, a man who had already beaten him twice. Even though Jean-Claude shattered his own hand during the fight, he kept going. He kicked Tuggels in the nose so hard that he couldn't go on. Jean-Claude won by TKO. He had to quit battling for months because he required surgery on his hand. But that fight showed that he had the heart of a champion. Jean-Claude won the European Professional Karate Association's middleweight championship in 1979, when he was only 19 years old. In full contact battles, he knocked out 18 people and lost only 1. Some individuals doubted the records and said the stats might have been padded with weaker opponents, but most people acknowledged that he was a strong and talented fighter. He founded a little gym in Brussels called California Gym when he was 20. It was next to a graveyard. He thought the gym would make him money and give him a place to work out, but it didn't. He did all types of occupations to stay alive. He worked as a model for muscular magazines, installed carpets, and delivered pizzas. He would often sleep at the gym so he wouldn't have to pay rent. He ate food that was left over from restaurants and sometimes even stole it. This went on for over 2 years. He saved every penny he could, wanting to go to America. He ultimately made it to Los Angeles in 1982, when he was 21 years old. People believe he came with only $50. Some people believe it was $5,000 or even $2,000. No matter what the number was, he didn't speak English, had never acted before, and had no one to help him. He lived in his automobile close to Venice Beach. He took showers in public restrooms and did odd jobs like cleaning apartments, serving tables, and delivering pizzas. He used to drive limos and met Chuck Norris, who later gave him an opportunity to do stunts. He had his first cinematic role in the 1984 movie Break-In, when he danced in the background for a second. It didn't even get credit. At this point, he was working as a bouncer at a bar that Chuck Norris owned. He was utterly broke and sometimes had to eat from trash cans to remain alive. He kept training and going to auditions every day, though. He soon became Chuck Norris's sparring partner, which helped him gain known. He played a little bad guy in the movie No Retreat, No Surrender in 1986. He only got $250 to play a tough Russian fighter. During scenes, he really hit his co-stars, and the director repeatedly urging him to stop hurting others. But Van Damme took every fight scene very seriously and was quite intense. That year, he did the bravest thing he had ever done. While he was working at a restaurant, he observed producer Menahem Golan eating there. Van Damme delivered a fantastic roundhouse kick while holding a bowl of soup. Golan was so impressed that he asked him to come in for an audition. Van Damme stayed at Cannon Films all day. Jean-Claude pulled off his shirt and executed high kicks over the producer's head when Golan finally summoned him in. Golan was shocked. He gave him a script and added, "Next week in Hong Kong." That script was a Bloodsport. It cost between $1.5 million and $2.3 million to make the movie. Van Damme executed all of his own stunts without any safety gear. He did the splits on the counters in the kitchen and every kick himself. The battles were risky, but Van Damme didn't mind. The movie was put off and almost went directly to DVD. But he was able to get Golan to allow him change the battle sequences. He worked all the time for weeks. When Bloodsport eventually came out in 1988, it stunned everyone by grossing $50 million all around the world. But not everything went as planned. He had a terrible audition for Predator in 1987, he got paid $20,000 to wear the extraterrestrial costume. He didn't like it. He felt trapped in the costume and passed out twice. The producer yelled that he would be fired if it happened again. Van Damme lost it. He tore off the pricey headpiece and broke it. The producer yelled and kicked him off the set. Kevin Peter Hall, a 7-foot-tall actor, took his position. Kickboxer made Jean-Claude Van Damme a star around the world in 1989. It came out on September 8 and made $50 million, even though it only cost $2.7 million to film. It played on 973 screens and made $4.1 million in its debut weekend, making it the third highest grossing movie in the US. The movie was filmed in Thailand, where Van Damme trained with local fighters in actual Muay Thai. The first Hollywood movie to show Thai kickboxing to the world was this one. The part I'll never forget is when Van Damme dances intoxicated in a pub in Bangkok. He moves to the music with his shirt open and seems wild, but then he abruptly gets into a terrible battle. That weird blend of humorous and aggressive became one of the most talked about things in his career. It made him a real action star and made Muay Thai popular. Cyborg came out that same year. It only took 23 days and cost less than $500,000 to make. Cannon Films had lost money on cancelled He-Man and Spider-Man movies, so director Albert Pageon hurriedly crafted a new tale over the weekend to employ the costumes and sets that were already there. There were even guitars in the movie, like Gibson Rickenbacker and Marshall Strat. Something terrible happened while they were filming. Van Damme hit actor Jackson Rock Pinkney in the eye with a pretend knife by mistake. The studio had to pay $485,000 in damages because of the injury. The movie made more than $10 million, though, and it started a new cyberpunk franchise. Lionheart gave Van Damme a more dramatic role in 1990. He played Lion Gaultier, a soldier who leaves the French Foreign Legion and participates in illicit battles in Los Angeles to help the family of his dead brother. There were no rules in the battles, which were rough and violent. Van Damme wounded himself several times while filming, including dislocating his shoulder. The movie was named AWOL in the UK and Wrong Bet in Australia. It was first shown in France on August 1, 1990, and then in the United States on January 11, 1991. This movie showed that he could do more than just fight. In Death Warrant, which came out later that year, he played a cop who went undercover in a prison. It cost $6 million to make and made $46 million. Van Damme made things take longer because he continually modifying the battle sequences to add his legendary spinning kicks. He didn't want to act like a normal cop. One of the fascinating things is that the prison scenes were recorded in the basement of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles while Pretty Woman was being filmed above at the same time. He even helped with editing after filming to make the bouts look better. The last fight scene with the frightening murderer Sandman was filmed in just one day inside a big power station in Los Angeles. He played identical siblings in the movie Double Impact in 1991. The movie was 110 minutes long and came out on July 31. Van Damme had to play both roles, going from a calm, pleasant sibling to a stern, angry one. They used split-screen effects and hired genuine twins to fill in for the actors to make the sequences look authentic. Before CGI, everything had to be done with camera timing and optical effects. People first saw that he could do more than simply fight in this movie. He could really play complicated parts. Van Damme had a great smash with Universal Soldier by 1992. It cost $23 million to make and made $102 million over the world. But things were getting tense behind the scenes. He wanted a beautiful trailer and wouldn't come out unless his wife, bodybuilder Gladys Portugues, was there with him. That caused a lot of delays because they had to fly her to each filming location. Dolph Lundgren, his co-star, remarked that Van Damme had grown hard to work with and had a big ego. In 1992, their rivalry reached a breaking point at Cannes, where they almost fought on stage. Some people assume it was real, while others think it was fake. The movie's success made Van Damme a real A-list star, no matter what. He worked with well-known Hong Kong director John Woo on Hard Target in 1993. The movie was filmed in the swamps of Louisiana. Van Damme insisted on executing his own stunts, and in one scene where a horse kicked him, he almost broke his leg. Universal was so worried about Woo's directing that they sent Sam Raimi to watch over the production. Woo noted later that he was amazed by how keen Van Damme was to execute perilous situations, even though it took 65 days to finish. Time Cop was Van Damme's biggest hit ever in 1994. It made $101.6 million on a budget of $28 million. Played a police officer who can travel across time. He added extra sections to the screenplay to show off his split moves. The kitchen scene, where he jumps into a split to avoid being electrocuted, became famous. He also wanted sequences where he showed off his body, especially his butt, which he was very proud of. He was paid $3 million to play the part. Fans loved the action and time travel, but critics didn't like the holes in the plot. But things got out of hand later that year when he made Street Fighter. He was spending $10,000 a week on cocaine. Steven D'Souza, the director, reported that Van Damme would show up high and then leave for hours. They had to hire a wrangler to keep an eye on him. Also, when he was filming in Thailand, he had an affair with Kylie Minogue. At the time, his wife Darcy Lapper was expecting and didn't find out until he told her in 2012. He also wanted private planes and hotels. Even with all of this, he still did a good job. He got the most money ever in 1995 when he died suddenly. He got $5 million. He played a fire marshal who saved people during the Stanley Cup Finals hockey game. NHL stars like Luc Robitaille filmed it at the Real Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. There was even a battle scene in the arena's kitchen with Iceberg, the team mascot. People made fun of Van Damme's zipline stunt from the roof of the arena because it was so over the top. The movie cost $35 million to make, but it only made $20.4 million in the US. It did make $64 million around the world, though. The Quest, which took place in Tibet in 1925, was his first time directing. Real combatants from 16 countries fought for a golden dragon statue, but Van Damme was still using $10,000 worth of cocaine every week and often called in sick. A studio worker was meant to keep him in check, but they only made matters worse. He got back late after going to Hong Kong to film. And missed whole days. The $35 million movie did well over the world, even though there were a lot of delays and complications. He played twin siblings again in the 1996 movie Maximum Risk. The Russian mafia kills one of them, and the other wants revenge. The automobile chases were serious and risky. In one crash, a stunt duplicate got harmed terribly. Van Damme wanted things to be as real as possible, but detractors stated that most of the harmful things weren't even his. A lot of people noticed the fight scene in the movie where he was only wearing a towel. The antics made the $15 million budget stretch too thin. Double Team put him alongside Dennis Rodman in 1997, but Van Damme was starting to act in ways that were hard to foresee. He had bipolar condition that wasn't recognized, and he could go from happy and manic to sad in the same day. Because of his emotional swings, director Tsui Hark had to change the scenes a lot. Rodman, who had never acted before, turned out to be the more steady one. It cost $30 million to make the movie, but it was mostly about getting it done. Then, in 1998, he was in Knock Off, where he played a fashion designer who got caught up in a story concerning jeans that blew up. Van Damme was finally diagnosed with bipolar disorder that same year. His acting was crazy, and he sang Hong Kong songs and acted weird on set. He was attempting to get better while continuing filming. The director had to deal with his fluctuating emotions, which often made the work stop completely. The movie's crazy story about fashion terrorism was like what was going on in Van Damme's actual life. Legionnaire also came out in 1998. Because Van Damme wanted to join the French Foreign Legion. But his reputation took a hit in February when he was knocked out cold in a strip club in Manhattan. In the bathroom, he called Chuck Zito, a former Hell's Angel and boxer, names. Zito walked over to Van Damme's table and punched him hard, sending him flying across the floor. People watched as the beating went on. Legionnaire also did poorly at the box office, which made the event even more embarrassing. In 1995, Jean-Claude Van Damme got a call that may have changed his life. Universal Pictures was going to pay him $36 million for 3 movies. Each movie costs $12 million. Timecop had just made over $100 million over the world. Van Damme informed them he wanted $20 million for each movie instead of signing. Just like Jim Carrey. Remarked that everything I touched turned into cash. But what he heard on the other end wasn't a counteroffer. It was funny. They laughed and then hung up. That one moment ended his time as a top star. In 1990, just 5 years earlier, he was making $75,000 for a death warrant. He made $8 million for Street Fighter by 1994. He lost $20 million in a bet and was blacklisted right away. Things were already coming apart behind the scenes on the Street Fighter set that same year. Van Damme was addicted to cocaine and used about 10 grams a day. It cost him roughly $10,000 a week, which is more than $500,000 a year. He would leave the set, miss whole days of shooting, and couldn't operate without his fix. The studio had to provide him a handler, but that individual simply made things worse by bringing champagne to the set and partying with him. He was seeing things that weren't there by the time they started filming Double Team in 1996. He went to rehab, but he left after 7 days. He couldn't do anything without drugs. People in Hollywood started nicknamed him Jean-Claude Van Desperate. Everything fell apart in 1998. Doctors diagnosed him with rapid cycling bipolar disease after he tried to kill himself. He had been going through manic highs and depressive lows for years, and now it all made sense. He was very creative but sometimes very aggressive during manic episodes. He would become angry, ask for crazy amounts of money, and used cocaine to treat himself. His wife, Gladys Portugues, had to deal with his mood swings that came and went. He ultimately got aid after trying to kill himself. He took mood stabilizers and eventually talked about it publicly on Oprah in 2007. But his career was already hurt. In 1994, while filming Street Fighter in Thailand, he got into trouble again. He was married to Darcy LaPierre at the time, but he started seeing Kylie Minogue. He finally confirmed it in a Guardian interview almost 20 years later, calling it sweet kiss. Lovemaking that is wonderful. He said that it would be strange if he hadn't cheated. She is quite pretty. The timetable made things worse. He either cheated on his fiancée or immediately after he married LaPierre. Their divorce in 1999 was partly because of the affair. Later, when asked about it in interviews, Van Damme often got up and left instead of answering. That night changed his image as an action hero for good. He made fun of Chuck Zito, the president of the Hells Angels, at Score's strip club in Manhattan on February 5, 1998. Van Damme was in the restroom with Mickey Rourke when he said something cocky about Zito not having a heart. Zito heard about it. He went up to Van Damme's table and inquired if he truly said it. Van Damme agreed. Zito didn't spend any time. With a right-left combo, he knocked him out cold. Van Damme turned around in his chair and fell to the floor. Zito kept hitting until security got him off. Zito shouted, "This isn't the movies, this is the street, and I own the street," as Van Damme was unconscious. The tale made it into the news and traveled through Hollywood, ruining Van Damme's tough guy image. Desert Heat went straight to video in 1999. On IMDb, it has a score of 5.2 out of 10. With only 11,000 votes. That was the last sign. Van Damme was no longer a big name at the box office. He was now an actor who went straight to DVD. He was poisonous in Hollywood because of cocaine, legal problems, missed shootings, and countless reshoots. When Universal Soldier: The Return came out that same year, it was a complete failure. It took $45 million to film the movie, yet it only made $10.7 million around the world. International sales only brought in $270,000. During its debut weekend, it only made $2,800 per theater. The original grossed $95 million, but the Dicey-Oth sequel made only 11%. It made the fifth highest amount of money at the box office ever. He did something unusual in 2008. JCVD was real and knew it. He played a broken version of himself who was caught in a phony heist as he was dealing with a real custody case and money issues. He cries and confesses everything in an 8-minute monologue. Drugs, bad movies, and shattered marriages. People who didn't like it loved it. People didn't like it. People didn't like seeing their action hero cry. It was one of his best performances, but it didn't do well. The Expendables 2 provided him a chance to get back into the big leagues in 2012. He played the bad guy, Gene Villain. Vin Diesel, on the other hand, stopped him from joining Fast and Furious. In 2023, Van Damme reported that Diesel had answered, "No, I don't want him." Even though he did a great job in Expendables 2, they killed off his character. Stallone made fun of the idea of coming back with a twin brother named Claude Villain, but it never occurred. Van Damme later said that Hollywood didn't have room for individuals like him anymore, and he compared himself to a manual transmission in a world of Teslas. Then, in April 2025, things became even worse. Romanian prosecutors said he was implicated in a scandal involving trafficking. At a 2015 event in Cannes, Van Damme is said to have taken 5 women who had been trafficked from Mirel Bolia, a Romanian criminal leader. Witnesses said that the women were grabbed from a fashion TV group and brought to Van Damme at a party at a hotel. One lawyer said it was evident that the women were being used. Van Damme's agent said the claims were ridiculous, but the inquiry was still going on and the damage was huge. But he didn't go away. He was the voice of Master Croc in Kung Fu Panda 2 in 2011. He was the voice of Jean-Claude in Minions in 2022. The emergence of Gru. He started doing voice work that didn't demand as much physical strength. He was steady enough for these initiatives thanks to medication and working out every day. He used martial arts as a form of treatment. Every day he worked out to help him deal with his bipolar disease, and he even gave fitness suggestions on YouTube. He started Train with Van Damme in April 2020 to show people how to work out at home without any equipment. Only things around the house. He was in Jean-Claude Van Johnson, a self-parody on Amazon, in 2016. He played himself as an actor who was out of work and also a spy. The show made light of his habits, big ego, and bad reputation. It only lasted 6 episodes, but fans got to see a side of Van Damme that could laugh at his own past. He came back in 2024 in Darkness of Man. He played a former Interpol agent who was trying to keep a child safe from gangs. His real-life kid played the same part, which made it more poignant. The movie came out in May and was on Netflix in December. It featured a somber Van Damme who was older but still attempting to make up for his mistakes. There were no signs that he was going to relapse. In 1998, when he started serious about treatment, he was said to have overcome his addiction.